Quality, service, atmosphere. You're next in the chair. Feel at home in the Barbershop. Gbush offers a fresh cut on sports. The Barbershop isn't just grooming for guys. It's culture, it's lifestyle, it's sports. And it's now the Barbershop is giving the sports scene a sheer shave and shine. Join the makeover now. Follow Garrett Bush at Gbush91 on Twitter.
Yo, what's up, man? It's your boy G Bush back with you again on another Barbershop edition of a Browns recap. You know where you can get at me. I need y'all to go ahead. You know what? I need y'all to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. Stop waiting around, man. You know, as far as when it comes to the Browns, there is a couple of things that I can guarantee you that anybody else that's giving you Browns content out there, they're not giving it to you the same way I'm giving it to you. You know, when I speak on these blogs and when I speak what I talk, and I talk this talk, I do a lot of funny stuff, and I like to have joke and talk and give analogies and play around and just be energetic and have a good time with it. But one thing that I can say comparing to anybody else that's doing Browns content is I'm there every single day. I cover this team for a living. You know, I work at the radio network home of the Cleveland Browns. You know, I go to the practices. I go to, two-a-days. I'm out there watching these guys from the beginning of the summer to the end of the summer, at OTAs, through training camp, through all of that stuff. I'm out there. I talk about it. I live it. So when I come on here and I say this stuff, sometimes it's tongue-in-cheek and sometimes it's just there to, just have a good time with you guys in the YouTube community. But when it comes to firsthand knowledge, I guarantee you, if it's not a beat reporter, if it's not somebody that's a local journalist, if it's not a Mary Kay Cabot or a Tony Grossi or Daryl Ryder or any of those beat reporters, Tom Withers of the AP, Doug LeMaurice, any of those dudes, if they're not, their name don't start with any of them names, they're not as plugged in to the Browns and what's going on a daily basis than I am. And I'm going to just keep it a fact. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Salute to everybody who has done so. But let's drive these numbers up, man. Let's drive these numbers up. Let's get to 2,000, man. We've been at 1,400 for a minute. Let's get to 2,000. Subscribe to the channel and keep supporting the Barbershop, man. If you want to get involved, hit me up on Twitter at Gbush91 on Twitter, Barbershop, Instagram, Gbush91_Barbershop. That's where you can catch me on Instagram. And as always, if you really want to get a hold of me and you want to talk, catch my show every Saturday, 92.3 The Fan, and 8 to 12. And it's on the radio.com app streaming live. Streaming. So you can catch that a day later. You can rewind it. You missed the show on Saturday, catch me on Sunday. It's time to stop plugging stuff and get to what you came for. And that's the recap of the Cincinnati Bengals and your Cleveland Browns. Yay! That's my kind of not excited face. To be honest with you guys, as I'm doing the pregame on 92.3 The Fan, I was talking with Anthony Lyman and King Carmen as we did the pregame show. And, the Cincinnati game, after you lose a game to Pittsburgh, it doesn't have the same appeal on me. I know you win the game today. I know that you got the win. And, I've been one of the dudes that say you can't never knock a win. You can't never come out and knock a win for individuals who come out in the NFL. And every game is very close and competitive. And I'll give the Bengals credit. Andy Dalton has come back and shown himself to be a professional. He got benched early in the season. I think he's a couple touchdowns passes away from being the all-time leading touchdown passer in Bengals history. I thought he played pretty good today, and I think he showed a lot of professionalism coming back from being benched. Joe Mixon is still a good back. I think Joe Mixon, because he's playing in Cincinnati, I think we forget how good of a back Joe Mixon is. I thought he caught the football really well today. I think he showed why he's a complete back, catching the ball out of the backfield. He's a load to bring down. He's elusive, good feet, and he has power, and he finishes runs going forward. Runs with an attitude, runs with anger. Joe Mixon is a nice ball player, and I think you're starting to see Tyler Boyd kind of step up into that role as a guy who got drafted. People say he didn't have the deep speed coming out of Pitt, but I think Tyler Boyd is a guy who now you see he's working his way back into becoming in that upper echelon, going from a second receiver possibly to a mid-tier 1 receiver. All depends on how you look at it. So I think Tyler Boyd played really well today. This game, Cincinnati is 1-11, 1-12 now, but they didn't give up. They came out here and did some nice things. I thought Carlos Dunlap played well. I thought they did a nice job against some pass rush. And for the most part, in the first half, they did a good job of stopping the run with Nick Chubb. So the Bengals at 1-12, I think that they're no pushover. And I think that the young head coach is getting them guys actually to fight. They actually didn't give up, and they haven't quit on him. And the players are still playing hard for that guy. So salute to them and the Bengals. I think when you go into next year's draft, I think you're going to move on from Andy Dalton. And I think a guy from Southern Ohio, Athens County, Joe Burrow, if he's available, you take him. I'm sorry. Joe Burrow, to me, is a guy that I had the opportunity to watch in the SEC championship game, and he's special, man. I pose a question to a lot of people in my audience, and I say, man, Justin Fields or Joe Burrow? Like, if you're Ohio State, like, who you think is better? Like, you lose Joe Burrow because Justin Fields is a nice ball player. He's going to be up for the Heisman. He's going to get invited to Downtown Athletic Club for the Heisman Trophy finalists. But to me, the way Joe Burrow has elevated that program, LSU has always had running backs. They've always had great defensive team speed. They've always had cornerbacks and defensive backs. But the problem that always got LSU is the fact that they never were able to have a quarterback that was worth their weight in any salt or even decent enough to get playmakers like Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, early Doucette. They had a lot of guys, man. Receivers come out of LSU. They just didn't have a quarterback. But when they got Joe Burrow, it changed the face of how LSU was able to compete on a different level. And you see what can happen if you get a quarterback and you pair those with athletes. So for me, I think the Bengals go out, and if Joe Burrow is available, you take him. He's from Southeastern Ohio. It's a good fit. Family ties there. I take him. And I think the Bengals will be back competitive again next year. So I don't, the Bengals, I don't think they're going to be like garbage for 10 or 15 years. So if you bank it on that, I don't think that's the thing. So moving along, and when you talk about what the Bengals did, moving to what the Browns were doing, it's such a mixed bag of fruit here. Pause. It's such a mixed bag because it keeps highlighting certain things. And it's difficult to talk to people who may not know the specifics, ins and outs of football to a point to understand and to critique certain things, even in a win. Case in point, some people may call for Freddie, I don't even know his name now, Freddie Kitchens' job. They might call for his job after he loses to the Allen kid in Denver or Duck Hodges in Pittsburgh. But if you're an astute fan, if you know the game, you can actually pick out certain grave mistakes even in a victory. When you're playing at a 1-11 team and that team is giving you all you can handle, and you have a huge discrepancy in where your talent level should be and where theirs are and what you have to be fighting for in a playoff chase and what they've already packed in, you're supposed to already be thinking, we're going to get these points and get these dudes out of here so we can get ready to the next week. But Freddie Kitchens consistently does things that highlight the fact that not only is he, people say he's in over his head. It's not even that. He just doesn't comprehend. Have you ever met somebody who you told over and over and over and over again, hey man, you shouldn't do that? And they look at you with this dumbfounded look like, why would you tell me that? And then you say, because, man, it's hazardous to you, it's hazardous to the people around you, and it just don't make sense. It's dangerous. You shouldn't do that. They say, you know what, good, thanks. Thanks for the advice. And then the next week they do the same thing, and you be like, I thought I just told you that wasn't a good idea. I thought we was on the same page. But then you turned around and did it again. I thought we had an understanding. And they say, oh, you know what, man, you're right. I do remember that conversation you had with me, Gbush. Totally get it, man. That's on me. She's like, dang, man, okay, cool. Come back to next week. Same thing. You get the picture where I'm going with this. Today's game, you look at Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. First half, you get Nick Chubb 4 carries. 4 carries. And we've been saying these things as fans for the whole year. We've been saying these things for the whole entire year. That we can't, why would you have Nick Chubb? He's a leading rusher. You can't tackle him one-on-one. He runs hard. He's elusive. He doesn't put the ball on the ground. He's a good guy out of the backfield. You can't give him 4 carries. Like, you're the guy that's calling the plays. Like, that's on you. Like, Nick Chubb can't give himself the ball. He can't snap it to himself. So, when you talk about this week after week after week after week after week, it becomes nerve-wracking, and it makes you believe that this person doesn't comprehend the way the game works. You start to question whether he has good football IQ. It's not the fact that he's a rookie head coach. It's the fact that you start questioning whether or not he'll ever get it, whether or not he has the capability or cognitive ability to understand what he needs to do in a game to be successful. You go back in, you look at it again. It's been circling and swirling all around the league. And if you just simply go back and check out any of my blogs, any of my stuff, you'll see a blog and I'll link it in the description. It talks about Odell Beckham being a media scapegoat. And that's another tool, and it's another trope, and it's another narrative that people use when they can't formulate or articulate an opinion as to why their team is performing poorly and how to get it better. So as soon as OBJ comes into the program, in this blog, I say, look, Browns fans, do not fall into the trap of letting national media members and people tell you that Odell Beckham Jr. will be the reason everything in Cleveland go wrong. Baker Mayfield gained 35 pounds is OBJ's fault. It's his fault. Freddie Kitchens can't call a good play, calls a draw on 3rd and 29. It's Odell Beckham Jr.'s fault. Freddie doesn't have any confidence in him. That's on him. Every single thing that goes wrong with the Cleveland Browns becomes a byproduct of the lowest hanging fruit. You become a contrarian. You say, well, I think it's just because they're forcing the ball to him. I think it's because he just doesn't want to be here. I think it's because, he just has this attitude and he just doesn't. No. If you are an explosive receiver and it happened again today. Odell is driving and moving on a double move down the field and he's open and he's not getting the rock. After that happens so many times, it becomes demoralizing. And then you wonder why there's a report out with Jay Glazer saying Odell Beckham's like, I want out. I'm trying to roll. I got to go. What am I here for? If you're not going to help me, if I'm not going to be able to be an asset to be used for the team, what am I doing here? And that's the danger. That's the critical danger of actually implementing a program and using a coach who skipped 3 steps. You went from a running back coach, you never was a full-time offensive coordinator for a whole year, all the way to head coach. Because what happens now is you are always being on the defensive. And what that means is you're always trying to run out and put fires out instead of being proactive and finding and going after stuff. You're being defensive. Case in point, you got to now be proactive. You got to be defensive about Odell Beckham. You got to answer questions. Well, does he want to be here? The reason you had to be defensive is because you didn't get him the football. You didn't step out in front of that and say, I need to do whatever I need to do in my mind as a coach. I got 4 plays for you. I got 4 plays from you. And one of the things that you have to do as a coach, secondly, is be self-deprecating. Be the person that is able to take all of the brunt and deflect it from the players. If I got a receiver that I know is a top flight receiver, first and foremost, I'm telling Baker, come here. Listen, on these plays, when we put it in on install on a Tuesday, I'm bringing Baker along and say, listen, Tuesday, hey, we got 3 plays. On this play right here, we got to give OBJ a shot. And I'm bringing OBJ over here and say, listen, if you don't throw him that ball, hold me accountable. If I don't get you the ball, hold me accountable. I can take it. I can do that. So that way, Odell develops this relationship and mentality that people have his best interest at heart. It's a motivating factor. You know, instead of just being one-word answers in these press conferences we try to give him the ball. Coach, how is it that, your tight ends have more combined targets in the red zone than one of the top 5 receivers and one of the highest paid receivers in the league? Well, we always would like to get our receivers the ball. Sometimes, we got to do a better job of doing that. But, sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. When you say things like that, you don't even help yourself out. Being humble and finessing a situation don't cost you no money. That's free. Being cool and being a strategic guy with your rhetoric doesn't cost you anything. But what does cost you is the fact that you spent a first-round draft pick and you lost your best right guard that you have had textiles and turntables at because you went out and you went and got Odell Beckham. So you know how much money, time, effort, and energy and assets are allocated to this guy. If you're going to have a Lamborghini, why wouldn't you put high test gas in it and wash it once in a while? If you got a Lamborghini, why would you haggle over what kind of shoes and tires it got? Why would you haggle over that? You wouldn't. You say, I spent $300,000 on this car. I'm not going to worry about, I don't care nothing about no shoes. Give me them, and give me them. And I'm going to wash my car 3 times a week. And I'm going to get the highest grade gasoline. These are all tricks of the trades that veteran coaches do. And some fans are going to be fooled by this win. Because it's a win. Makes you feel good. It's just like attention. Some women get attention from anybody, and they love it. Doesn't matter if the guy is a jerk or doesn't work or, just abusive. They're just not used to getting attention. So any attention they get, guess what? They jump all over it. It's just like fans. This Cincinnati is a good win, but just because you're not used to getting wins doesn't mean that what you see in this game don't matter, and why the narrative does not change when you beat the bad teams half the time, but you lose to the good teams all the time. This Bengals game don't matter. It was closer than it should have been. And And you went on the road last week and you lost to a team that you should have won against. So don't be fooled by it. Just don't be fooled. Like, a lot of people will, but don't be fooled by it. And right now, the most dangerous thing that's going to go on, and it's foreshadowing for all you guys that are watching out there for the Browns. The most dangerous thing that can pop off right now is that the Browns end up with a mediocre record like 8-8, 7-9, 8-8, somewhere along those lines, where the record's not bad enough to have a knee-jerk reaction to have animus towards Freddie Kitchens, and you just are stuck in limbo like, ooh, I don't know if I want to get rid of him. I don't know if this is a good job or a poor job. You just don't know because the record is so even. So you might make a grave mistake in bringing him back. OBJ forces his way out of town. You lose the assets involved in him with first round picks. You lose your guard that you had from last year, which if you weren't going to do that, if you weren't going to throw the ball, if you weren't going to get him involved, you could have just kept the guard and ran Nick Chubb 40 times a game. At least your run game would have been strong, right? But it all comes back to the fundamental thought process that the Cleveland Browns, it's status quo. It's status quo. It's heartbreaking to see teams like, on the Buffalo Bills, you go from garbage to good. To see quarterbacks in their second year like Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes just, light the league up. And for us, it's just like, you think you have your time in the sun. You think you're going to be that team next up. And then you think you've waited people out and the division is finally yours. But it always comes back to a stark reminder that you got to go out and play, and that you have to actually come out here and do exactly what you need to do, develop, and actually get better. It just seems like Baltimore does that, every other team does that, and the Browns just can't get that right. So, in short, next, they got a couple more games. They got Arizona. You got the the Bengals again. And then you got Baltimore, So these are 3 games. Freddie Kitchens is still fighting for his job week to week. But, take the win, make you feel yourself feel a little better on Monday. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, just remember, the way they play today ain't going to work against no good teams. It just don't. It'll make work against the Bengals. It'll make work against the Dolphins, but that performance ain't gonna work against the Saints, the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Ravens. Not gonna work against none of those stalwarts. Not gonna happen. So if you want to be in the Super Bowl and you want to aspire to be something greater than you are right now, you're gonna have to make bold decisions. And one of the bold decisions is analyzing whether or not Freddie Kitchens has what it takes to get you not just to a simple spot where you can say we better than we used to be, but the goal is the Super Bowl. Let's get it. Hit me up, Barbershop. Follow me at Gbush91 on Twitter, and we'll see you again. Same place, same time. And don't forget, man, shop5thmerch.com is where you can get all the barbershop gear. Salute. Hey friends, it's Garrett Bush, but most of you know me as G Bush, the host of the hit radio show The Barbershop on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, Ohio. As I travel and interact with fans of the show in Northeast Ohio and all around the country, I always get this same question. Yo, where can I get this barbershop gear at? Well, the wait is finally over. I am happy to announce that the barbershop merchandise will now be available online at shop5thmerch.com. The shop will also feature the latest clothing, hats, shoes, and accessories from the barbershop. Yeah, I did say that right. The barbershop even has its own shoes. Crazy, right? ShopFifthMerch.com has a little bit of something for everyone, including women's and children's apparel. The site also features other new wave brands like 62 Degrees and Sucre Morado. Remember, the barbershop isn't a place, it's a feeling. Join the movement today and grab your gear. You've been locked in with Gbush in the Barbershop. Feel free to take a look at some of our other videos linked here, and also subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our updated content coming out regularly. Thanks again for listening.